All right, we are live and on the air. If you're hearing my voice, that means that you have pressed play on the video on the chat page. And we'll go ahead and post a reminder on the chat for those of you that have not yet pressed play on the video, so you can go ahead and start watching. While we're waiting for folks to join up the viewing party. I see there's about 22 people in the chat. That's great. I want to make sure people realize there's a little bit of a delay, but we are going to be looking at questions throughout. And let's get this started. So my name is Josh Legard. I'm the co-founder of Kickoff Labs. Welcome to our live chat series. This series is a chance for us to share the knowledge we've acquired running a product and watching what works for our customers for our successful customer campaigns. If you don't know, our product, Kickoff Labs, is a tool that helps you generate leads for any type of campaign with landing pages, opt-in forms, and email marketing. For a long time, we offered folks, new paying customers, free consultations to help them get more conversions. It's something we still do for our customers, but it seemed like the advice was something that we could make broader and more generally applicable. So I wanted to see if we could help a wider audience, and we decided to start doing this chat series. We've done probably well over 20 chats by this point, and we've done the review series probably 12 or 15 times. I've honestly lost count. It's been a lot of fun, and we've got a lot of great pages lined up for review. I'm going to share my screen in a second, and we can kind of start off talking about one of the reasons I'm really excited about today's review. So everybody should see the quick slides. The quick slides I've got up here. Let me see. Oh, hopefully you're still seeing it. This is landing page reviews for the rest of us, the single founder edition. I've already introduced myself, founder of Kickoff Labs. We've optimized thousands of pages, and we're probably responsible for at least 4 million plus leads generated for our customers. So we've seen a few leads. I'm super excited today because we've got Mike Tabor with us of SingleFounder.com. So bootstrap, self-funded, serial entrepreneur, runs MicroConf, co-hosts startups for the rest of us, founder of Moonriver Software, blogs at Single Founder, and author of the Single Founder Handbook. I'll add, and all-around awesome dude. He knows how to launch successful products and has seen lots of campaigns and has helped, I'm sure, countless thousands of people himself with all the endeavors through the Startups for the Rest of Us podcast and through MicroConf. I know I've been an attendee and a listener. I'm a huge fan of Mike, so I'm really excited to have him here helping us review landing pages. Anything else you'd like to add, Mike?
Just that the Single Founder Handbook that you mentioned, that's a work in progress right now. I'm looking at having that done by the end of this month. So it's February right now for people who come and listen to this. I'm sure that there's going to be a recording that'll be made available later. But if you go out to SingleFounderHandbook.com, there's a mailing list that you can join up, and you'll be notified when it comes out. I've sent out a couple of emails here and there to people just asking for feedback on what it is that they're specifically looking for. Gotten a lot of, probably I'd say 15 to 20% of the people who join the email list actually email me and tell me specifically what their challenges are, which is great because it's given me a lot of information to put directly into the handbook. So if you're out there, if you're not aware of what the Single Founder Handbook is, or you haven't heard of it before, go there, enter in your email address, and you'll immediately be asked what your top 3 challenges are. You send them to me, and I'm doing my best effort to make sure that the things that people ask me for are going directly into the handbook so that I can help as many people as possible.
Awesome. It's great. It's great to hear. So I believe you are going to kick us off with the first couple of pages to look at. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen, we can get started.
Sure. So I believe my screen is shared. Can you see it now?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. So this one looks like it's from Tidal Vision, and I guess just taking a look at it, let me close this down here. the thing that pops out to me is that there's a lot of stuff going on the page that almost seems like it detracts from what the headline is. I mean, so there's this extra text up here. You know, there's a lot of text down here that I understand that there's, you know, obviously a purpose that is to help drive some of the signups, but it almost feels like there's a little bit of confusion about what this page is intended to do. It looks like, and I've seen this before, I've done this myself. It looks like this is kind of a cross between not just a landing page, but basically the home page for a website. And obviously, if you look at home and blog and about us up here in the top right, that's what you see, and that's kind of what it's for. But the problem is that this is pre-launch. You know, it says flat out, you know, become an early bird member. I would almost separate between having the website itself versus having like a landing page that you're driving people to, because those things have two different goals. With a web page, you want people to stick around, and obviously you want to have them give you their email address, but you don't necessarily want to do that right on the home page. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to make that sell. Versus something like a landing page, if its sole purpose is to get your email address, then you can kind of gear the page and get rid of a lot of other stuff. So right now, for example, there's a very strong call to action right here called sign up, but then you've got these other links up here, and if somebody's not quite sure when they read this if they're going to sign up, they're going to look around and they're going to go to another page. And if you start clicking around at these things, it actually opens up other tabs. So that, you know, in this right here, this blog tab actually doesn't seem to be any different. About us, that's obviously clearly different, but then, you know, there's no back button at this point either because it's opened up in a new tab. So it makes it difficult to go back and sign up now that you have, you know, kind of clicked through that. Looks like you could probably do that from over here, but again, that opens up another tab. So I don't know whether that's, you know, built into the page or, you know, my browser or something to look at. I don't think that it's my browser because I don't see this on other things. Something else that kind of pops out at me is this says reducing fishery waste and encouraging sustainable fishing. I think that's a pretty good call to action, but at the same time, it also says what you do. It's not necessarily about what you're doing for them. And when I'm looking at a landing page like this, I'd like to say, you know, turn it around a little bit so you're telling the user what it is that you're doing for them. Why should they stick around? Why should they give you their email address? And down here, I like this. It says sign up before we launch, become an early bird member, and receive exclusive discounts and even earn free product. This could actually probably be shortened down to receive exclusive discounts and earn free products. The rest of this here, it's a little bit extra. You're giving them information. I do like having information, but sometimes it can work against you. That's something I would actually want to test if I were you. I would take a look at this and see if there are ways to cut down on the amount of information you're giving to somebody. I found that even in going through my book this past month, I've gone through paragraphs and paragraphs of text and started just chopping things out and deleting them. And I found that by deleting stuff, you actually make it more clear by solidifying exactly what it is that you're trying to say down to just the bare essential things. For whatever reason, it makes things a lot more clear and a lot more efficient. People don't have to read all this stuff. You know, there are some people who are going to come to your page. They're going to, you know, just read the text. They're going to read the bullet points. They're going to skim it, and they're going to say, "Oh, am I interested in this or not?" And then yes or no, they'll click in and sign up. So those are the things that I would say off the top of my head. I do like the use of imagery. I think that the imagery that you've got here is very good. As I said, I would probably turn this text around a little bit so that you're telling the people what it is that you're doing for them. Right down here, you're saying by making apparel for those who care. It's the person who's coming to the page and seeing it. They're the ones who care, but you're kind of doing it for them. You kind of want to turn that text around a little bit. Other than that, I would say it's a pretty great job. I think the only other comment I would say is there's a lot below the fold, but I think that that's partially a factor of the fact that this page is kind of geared for two different purposes. One as a landing page, and then the second one is as a home page for your website.
Thanks, Mike. I had a couple things. I agree with just about everything you said there. I think everything maybe. I agree with Mike about this this stuff up here. I would consider testing without it. I agree with Mike that, you know, this text could possibly go there. And then I definitely agreed that that you should swap swap this in terms of the feature with this in terms of, you get apparel, we get, and the world gets better. Like making it equal par, at least what you're doing for other people, instead of just the benefit that, the things that you're doing behind the scenes. And then I agree with Mike. I think you could probably take sign up. You could probably take out most of that text there and just go straight to that. Lower on the page, I think the only other thing that got me was, there's all this extra copy, but there's no kind of mention or a picture of a product photo. And so if you're making apparel, I would expect that at least one of your 3 sections would be about the apparel. So having like a picture of the clothing or something that you would get in this 3 or 4 sections. So I would kind of say, where's the actual apparel that's on the page. And that'd be my big thing, and similar to what Mike said up top about making sure it's clear to the people that are here what you're going to do for them or what you're going to be offering them. And just even if the first bullet was, if this was an image of the, if this first thing here was an image of a shirt instead of the fish. That said, I think it's a pretty clean page. I love most of the images that are on the page. It goes with your cause. They're related. There's a decent amount of copy. Sort of what Mike's up top. I think you could probably take each of these paragraphs. I skimmed them really quickly, and you could probably cut out about half of the text. I'm not meaning that you should cut out this paragraph in particular, but I'm sure you could make the text about half as long as it is in each section if you just took another pass to shorten things up. All right, Mike, do you want to move on to the next page? I don't know if you're muted, Mike. I can see your page.
Yes, I was muted. So the next one we're going to move on to is Screen Aware. And this says it's automatic time tracking. And the thing that jumps out at me here is that this copy down here seems a bit long. I think that there's ways to tighten that up a little bit. I like the fact that it says automatic time tracking because it tells you right up front what it is. But then if you're at least a little bit familiar with time tracking, then you know what some of the benefits of it are, but you really have to scroll down to start seeing some of those benefits. So accurate invoices, whenever you're trying to sell a product or service, you really want to try and be as close to the beginning of their financial funnel as you possibly can. And essentially what that means is there's 2 ways to do it. It's either you're making somebody money or you are saving them money. When you're saving them money, there's essentially a cap on how much you can do that. I see time tracking kind of falling into that bucket because there's only so many hours that somebody can work in a week or in a month. But at the same time, what you're doing is you're helping them capture some of that money that they may not have tracked all of their time. So if they didn't track all their time, it's kind of difficult to bill somebody for time you didn't track. And your software allows them to do that. So I would probably pitch that as a benefit of using it right up top here. I think that these things in here, this right here, this very first one is nice. Project transparency, I don't know what that really does for me. It says, you're automatically tracking and relating screen time to billable project tasks. I think that there's definitely better ways to phrase that by kind of going down to this, this accurate invoicing and saying, make sure you're billing customers for all the time that you're owed, something along those lines. And the second piece here, it says what the product does, not necessarily what it does for them. So I don't know if maybe you get rid of this, or you can just say that it automatically integrates with all these other things that you're already using, something along those lines to help cut down on the amount of work that they're doing in terms of billing. So save time billing your customers by automatically importing this data into these other products. So those are the things that I would look at probably first. It just seems like some of these benefits are a little bit wishy-washy. I guess it doesn't really tell what the user gets out of it. I like this call to action right there. It's very right in the person's face. It's there's kind of no ambiguity about it. Because you can scroll a little bit, you might want to consider adding another one down here. I'm not real sure about that. I would definitely test that a little bit. And then these three things, this focus on your actual work, the automatic time tracking, and accurate invoicing, I think it might swap the order of the accurate invoices and the focus on your actual work. Because there's almost a progression. It's like, what's your problem? Well, I'm not able to accurately invoice all my people, well, or all my clients. Well, if you point that out to people and say, well, we can help make sure that you do that. We can help make sure that you're going to be billing everybody, and your pipeline for the number of hours that you're billing on a monthly basis is going to be full, and your customers know that that's that stuff is accurate. Put that right up front, and then in this copy, you're essentially trying to address objections. And the next one would, in my mind, would be, well, it sounds great that that's a benefit that I'm going to get, but how am I actually going to do that? And then it says, oh, well, we have automatic time tracking. And then the last one is essentially another benefit that says focus on your actual work. So I would just switch the order of those around, because that's the way that I think about it, but at the same time, somebody else may think about it a little bit differently. So that's something that you could definitely go about just testing and figure out whether or not that different order makes sense. I would lean towards, kind of leading with something strong that says you want to be able to accurately invoice people and get all the money that you're owed. Something else that kind of occurred to me is that whether or not it's common for people to undertrack their time and as a result underbill people. I would look around to see if there's any data or statistics about that, and if you can call it out, that would be fantastic. So let's say that if you find a study that says 73% of freelancers underbill for their time, well, you can point that out and say, well, if you underbill by X dollars, this is what your return on this investment is going to look like. I know that there's no pricing on this. It is still not even launched yet. It's still in a kind of a beta phase. But that's something that down the road you can take a look at, because you want to be able to provide a solid ROI for people. Because if you can demonstrate to them that they are paying you less money than they are making, then that's a solid reason for them to keep your product around, even if they start running into hard times, because you don't want to get rid of the products that are making you money, especially if you have to start making cuts of any kind. Josh, anything else?
No, again, it was great feedback. Something I didn't call out about the first page and this page, both of them I'll point out, and I point out this frequently, but both the pages are actually scalable down to mobile devices, which is important because we see in our product a good 45% of the views that people see on landing pages are coming from mobile devices. So even if people aren't going to sign up on a mobile device, having the page work well on the device and look good will let them come back on a desktop and then sign up for the app. I think Mike was dead on about talking about pushing the benefits. I thought I liked the change it to green here. I liked the hero image here, was great. I thought the call to action bar was nice and loud on the page. Like I didn't have any problem spotting it, but I might consider changing the color of the call to action button here, because there's a lot of blues on the page. And I might think about could I get even more people's attention here on the call to action with a slightly different color that you can see from a little bit further back. And then the other thing I'd consider is it says get your free spot. I would say this is a limited time thing. It's something that's a little bit more incentive, like get my free spot or claim a limited time free spot. Just something that makes it obvious what you're doing. Like get in the free beta now. Or get in free while we're beta testing, like something that makes it clear what people are going to get, because you're giving them a real benefit. Like you're saying you'll get to use the product for free, and I think that should be made extremely clear. You're giving them free usage of your product while you're in the beta period. The other thing I noticed, I'll just selfishly point out, when you sign up for the product. you just get taken to a get your free spot. Thank you for your sign up request. Check your email inbox. The good about this was that it was immediate. I checked my inbox. I won't show that on screen, but it came in right away and had instructions of what to do. And so it's always important to, if you have other next steps for people, which this process does, to remind them on the page what their next step is. Like, look, check your email. And then they go check the email, and then you've got steps within the email. The only other thing that you see a lot of people do and have success with, and a lot of Kickoff Labs customers have success with for these beta signups, is giving them a chance to invite 3 or 4 people, and that's kind of missing on this page. Like, if you just offer them a chance, say, hey, share this page, invite 3 to 4 people, and we'll give you, a year free or 6 months free or whatever is applicable for your product or whatever makes sense for your business. Then you will drive additional conversions that way. The other thing then you can do is that thing that I talked about, getting a free spot, is talking about, I know you don't have pricing, but you could give people a sense of how valuable that is. Like, how valuable is the free spot? Normally $49 a month, and you could just put something there on the page so that people know that you're giving them great value right there on the spot. That's all I wanted to add here, and I will hand it back to Mike to go on to our next page.
Okay. So the next one we're going to look at is AroundWire. When I first took a look at this, I have no idea what this does, and I think that's a serious problem. I see images scrolling past. It says something about creating a new listing. The buy-sell network, I don't really know what that means. It says want early access. We're in private beta, but it just doesn't tell me anything about what this does. The closest that I found was if I scroll down in tiny text on the page, there's this AroundWire.com as an online community where you can buy, sell, and network with people you trust. But it's below the fold, first of all, and none of the rest of this stuff that's on the page tells me anything about that. So I think that this page needs to have a serious redesign done. It seems like a huge amount of emphasis has been put on this AroundWire and then the buy-sell network, but that doesn't, like, network to me, that means cables. It has nothing to do with people, and I understand that that's not what the product is for, but for me personally, when somebody says, oh, something about networking, I'm like, oh, well, is it buy-sell networking equipment? I've got no idea. So those are the first things that jump to mind. Next thing is that down here where there's this call to action, I think Josh had mentioned it on the last one, that do something about the text behind the color of the call to action. It's all grayed out, so it just doesn't pop out at me as something that I should go ahead and enter in my email address and click. It doesn't pop is really what the issue is. So it's kind of weak to me. Next, if I look down here a little bit, it does give me a little bit more information. Real people, I don't know if that's any real sort of benefit. Get Juice, it looks like Juice is some sort of internal community, I don't want to call it money, but sort of currency that you can use to evaluate people. It doesn't really pop for me. I don't know what that means. I don't get it. And maybe if I got into the application and used it, then that would make sense to me and it would mean a little bit more to me. But right now it means absolutely nothing. Services welcome. This over here tells me that you should probably have a separate landing page specifically for people who are going to be selling or pitching their own services. And I think that that's something that you could definitely look to do in addition to this page. It looks like this page should probably be cleared or geared much more at people who are trying to buy stuff, and then you have a separate landing page for people who are trying to sell, because I think trying to do both of those things on the same page might not go well. It depends, I think, on what it is that you're trying to have people sell. I mean, if you're trying to create something that's a little bit more like eBay, then you might be able to kind of mix and match between the two of them. But it almost looks like you're trying to go after a two-sided market where you've got, what are essentially professional sellers, and then you've got people who are just your average consumer buying stuff. And that the landing pages, I think, for those two things are going to be completely different. this this scrolling, it's not even scrolling, it's this image that kind of keeps going back and forth. I've seen people do this type of thing when they don't know what to put there, so instead of picking one thing, they pick everything, and then they have this rotating banner that sits there and just kind of keeps going. And on a landing page, it's very distracting. I mean, don't get me wrong, it definitely draws your attention to it, but it's the wrong kind of attention because I'm looking there instead of looking for where to put in my email address or where I'm going to find more information about what this site actually does. And just from the gist of these particular things, it almost makes me think like, oh, this is a community for buying and selling cameras. And that may not exactly be true. It may be for lots of other things, but all I've seen so far is anything, the only stuff here is for DSLR cameras. And this one right here, obviously there's a green bicycle with a basket, but that's the only image I've seen so far that says anything other than, we sell cameras. So I think that's about it that I see so far. Josh, you want to comment?
Yeah, I had the same, a lot of the same issues on the page is that from the first two, this image here, and then this the want early access statement here, there wasn't enough of a description. There wasn't enough description to the page. I don't know why this is scrolling down. I don't know if it's the. I have no idea why this keeps scrolling me down here, but it doesn't tell me enough about. It doesn't tell me enough about what the page is for before you start. Before you start showing these rotating images, and you're making people guess what the image is. And I think that was Mike's big point, is that you're making people guess. This template, or this kind of template, I think works a little better if you've got a simple amount of text at the top, and then you don't have as much information as you have. You've got these product features and these screenshots, which are beautiful screenshots of a product. I think it'd be better off to maybe format it a little bit more as a template that's similar to what we saw earlier from Title Vision, with a clearer headline at the top, and then you could have each product image separated and static, like one image here, one image here, and I think then you can explain the images in a way that you're not making people guess like they are in a slideshow that keeps that goes across the page. Because a lot of people that set up their first pages and templates don't have this much information that they're trying to share in terms of actual product screenshots. If you have them and they add context, I say it's great to use them, just don't let it get in the way of explaining what you're doing. A slideshow or a video is no substitute for copy that explains what the product is. I agree with Mike about the thing on the bottom, the services welcome. You can cross-link pages and have a separate landing page for services that are there. And just explaining in a sentence or two. This one sentence right here is really buried. This is the first time I saw it. Around Wire is an online community. Can buy, sell a network of people you trust. That should be near the top of the page, because that's the first time that I saw it. They kind of explained it a lot more with the images. All right. So that was, I think, the third page we've looked at. I'm just going to hold the mic for a second, and we'll switch up the order here. So I'll go first on the next page. IT Vision, I guess spelled with a Z here, and the refining. And you can see there's a landing page here where there's a complete the form to receive. What can refining data do for you? So I assume this is a landing page meant for ad campaigns, here. And let me take the screenshot here. I can start marking it up. What Mike said earlier, I'm gonna repeat this. For a landing page where you're trying to collect the form, I don't think you need all of these extra links here. I think you could kill them and just leave the one link to a home page. This bar here, probably not needed with the navigation, as long as you make the top here link back to the home page. And then this headline is, what can refining data do for you? I don't have much context when I came to the page. I don't know what IT Vision is. I don't know what refining data is. I think you need a headline and a subheadline that has more context. at the top of the page of what you're giving away or what you're asking people to do or what the product is, that would ideally match the ad or however you pulled people into the page. Something that I like about the page is I do like that there's incentive. Here, a lot of people are often missing. They ask people to fill out the form. They don't make it really clear what the incentive is. But so these incentive things are great, but maybe this headline, like complete the form and receive, or contact us to receive, something that's not just so I don't know, direct about complete the form, or just put these two things into a sentence, so it doesn't feel as robotic on the page. It could feel a little bit more human, I guess. And then the same thing goes with the button here. That the cardinal sin they always say of landing pages is you should never make people say you should never make people submit to what they're getting. You could make the button stand out more, and it could match your call to action, like get my free webinar, get my free analytics white paper, or get my free stuff. So just something that goes along with the top call to action. So ideally, you take this and you match it with this, so that the call to action matches the location. And also, I think the button and this whole area over here could be a little bit louder. It's of course getting louder the more I draw on it, but without seeing the drawing on the page, I think you could have a lot more attention pulled to it. There's also this. It kept coming up. There's a chat in the bottom here. The connect with us. It'd be useful to see, run a test with and without, see how it impacts your conversion rate to have it, and what data you're learning from the chat. Is it worthwhile having it? Do people use it? I find it's good for a limited amount of times to have chats on pages, just so you can do a spot check and say, hey, do you understand what the page is? Why haven't you signed up? And you can talk to people about the landing page. But then in general, it lowers the conversion rate of the page, so I would tend to prefer taking it off, unless you're getting a lot of successful and a lot of sales from the chat on the page. The page, let's see, go back to the actual page here. The page is responsive, which is good, and it kind of shortens the menu a little bit on the top, which is nice. And let's see what else. But then there's this huge footer, and I'm not sure if this is required, so you might want to consider, do you need the huge footer of other landing pages showing on the page on the page in this location? So that's those are my few bits of feedback. Mike, do you have anything else you want to add?
I agree with everything that you said. The one comment that you had kind of alluded to was the submit button. It is appropriate on like a sadomasochism website, but not on like general landing pages. So definitely change that. You could also change that to relate to what it is that they're going to get. So you could say, get my free analytics white paper or something along those lines, depending on what it is that you change this copy headline to. This to me was the biggest issue on the page, was that what can your refining data do for you? To me, I have no context for that. So if it was from an email campaign that you've already explained to them what it is that they're going to be clicking on, then I could see that, maybe it makes a little bit more sense. But I think to the average visitor who just happens to be coming to that page, even if they're going through, an AdWords campaign or something along those lines, it can be a little confusing as to what it is that you're actually doing. Because just based on the pictures alone, it almost seems to me like this is some sort of a graphing software, which it may very well be, but at the same time, it's specific to the refining industry, which is not readily apparent from that title. Or I have to start digging in here to see it talking about oil and gas and petrochemical refining. It's like, oh, okay, this is totally not for me. One other thing that kind of popped out at me was this thing here that says we've served some of the best brands in the world. I think that I would probably change that to say we serve some of the best brands in the world, because this sounds past tense. It seems like you used to do it, but you don't do it anymore.
It'd also be great to have icons of some of those brands, right?
Yes. So basically, trust signals. So if you have some of those brands that you can share, whether it's Exxon Mobil or Shell or any of those others, definitely put those in there to kind of tell people who it is that's using your product and let them know that it's not just for the run-of-the-mill place, but these big brands are using it. They trust it, so you can too.
Yeah, that was a good point about. I'll go back to that page. Oh, I think I closed it. Yeah, there it is. About there's no context. Something that can be really good about a page like this is refining and saying we are for big companies that have data analysis to do. You're not excluding anyone by saying something like that. In fact, you're making people that your product is for feel more welcome on the page. And so I think you've got some of those hints of those things with what Mike showed down here, but just really call it out and leverage that a little bit more on the page. All right. So the folks from the Environmental Jobs Network are here, and they asked us to look at their page. And so I'm going to look at this page next. My quick spot check: the page is indeed responsive. It looks decent if you narrow it down. Narrowing the browser, of course, no substitute for actually looking at it on a phone because things can be different, but it's the quickest way to kind of look at it and do a quick sanity check on it. The thing that got me about this page, and I'll take a screenshot so I can annotate it a bit, is that it looks like that it's a home page clearly, but it's not clear what you really want people to do on the page, and there's several different calls to action. There's this up here about advertising with us. There's these social links up here that my eyes caught. Then my eye went to the logo here. I kind of didn't notice the menus are kind of small, so I didn't really notice it. There is a good headline here. The only environmental, that should be a square, the only environmental jobs advertiser that offers you help writing your adverts. Okay, so you're getting a little bit closer, but maybe instead of talking about you, saying you're the only environmental, you talk about them. Like you would say, do you need help writing your advertisements for environmental jobs? We can help with that. At least you're leading then with them instead of talking about what you do first. But then it wasn't clear to me, okay, so this says you're offering to help them with the adverts, but then the next call to action is this find a job and search job listings. Then you scroll down and you see advertise with us, and again the use of the submit word here shouldn't be there. I think you need to, and then another call to action, get the latest jobs in your inbox, subscribe, and then you've got some trust factors down here and then the footer. I think you really need to look at, if this is a home page, even if it's meant to be a general home page, simplifying it down. What do you want 80% of the people to do on the home page? Do you want them to find a job? If so, then this headline should probably match finding a job. Do you want them to advertise? If so, then this advertisement should be the top call to action, and just have maybe a button or a link to say, hey, do you want help finding a job? Put that somewhere else on the page so it's not nearly as prominent on the page. Figure out, for you and for your business, what is the best next step for people to take from their home page, and really drive that home here, because I think you'll confuse people on this page by making it by having so many different calls to action on the home page of what you want them to do, and just take it one step at a time, and you can have links to those other things that are appropriate, but don't detract from what you want as the primary thing on the page. Mike, do you have any comments?
No, I mean, that was the biggest thing that I saw as well. It's just that there's so much going on here, and home pages have a tendency to do this. Just in general, like the people throw everything they possibly can on their homepage because they don't know, they want to be able to attract people who are there for whatever reason. And the problem is that it actually turns people away. And when you get here, you kind of have to, I mean, you're already kind of by default picking what is the most important for you to surface to them by just the order that you put stuff up here. So clearly find a job is more important than advertising with them, and that's more important than getting the latest jobs in your inbox. So it almost seems to me like you might want to make a decision about what those things are, or put, and I've seen this done before, just put icons in, up here where you get rid of basically everything from about this section down, including all of this stuff, and then just have 3 icons as, find a job, advertise, probably just those 2, find a job or advertise for a job listing. Because I don't think that you want to put this type of thing in there as well. Maybe you put it in there like after finding a job, you lead them through there, and then after they've clicked on find a job, they search the job listings, and then you say, hey, put in your name and email address, and we will email these to you. So that way you're essentially walking them through what I would call a conversion process, where maybe if they're there to find a job, they're going to click on that, and then they search for the job listing and say, oh, we can email these to you, just enter in your name and email address. So that way you're chaining those things together, and those people are going to be much more qualified than if they came to this site and then they just entered in their name and email address anyway. But other than what Josh said, I don't think that I would add anything. I mean, my eyes were drawn in exactly the same way. I mean, it was up to the top right and then kind of drawn across to the left and down. I almost didn't even see this until Josh pointed it out. This headline, it didn't even register with me until he pointed to it.
Yeah, that's great feedback. All right, so also in attendance, Arian has a landing page he submitted, and we're going to take a look at this really quickly. So the very first thing I'll say that would really help your conversion rate is obviously they're using Kickoff Labs, but you should pay us. And I say that only half joking, and that any sort of branding, no matter how subtle the branding is on a page that's not yours, will detract from a conversion rate. We've tested this bar in several different ways. We've put it at the bottom. We've had a little nub here. And it's just really interesting that any sort of branding that's not your branding on the page, it's been a little link next to the form, it's been a button here, and you say, well, like, oh, what does that do? It reduces trust because it looks like you're not really investing in it, in the product. I of course appreciate it because you're sending people to our product with the branding on the page, and so that's why one of the reasons we as a company have a free account. But I think you can get it will lower, and it's somewhere between 20 to 30%. Any sort of branding, any company's branding on the page, no matter how they do it, it seems to lower their conversion rate, and that number is consistent. Like I said, if this was down at the bottom, it would be the same. If this was a little nub here in the corner, it would be the same. If this was a link next to here, it would be roughly the same sort of impact that you have. So first step for you would be to pay us. The next thing, let me look at the capture the page here so I can annotate it. Is this headline at the top? Don't waste time and money sourcing parts. The first thing I thought was, well, time and money for parts for what? I had no idea about the context, and this is again another example where there is a video here. But the video doesn't necessarily, with this tiny little text here, Terra Spider, you have to make a lot of jumps. You have to make a lot of assumptions to assume that this video goes with that headline. And again, it's the point of, a video or a slideshow is not a substitute for having the information on the page, because people learn and consume information in different ways. Some people prefer to have a video, some people prefer to have the text. I think the video, I think that you need to think about having both. And so, having something at the top that says, we make it fast and cheaper to find, parts and, and build your Terra Spider kit. Because assuming that people know what that is, if it's in the headline, then people will get it. People will get it a little bit more. I know that we have a great set of font selections. I'm not a fan of the font that's used in the headlines here, just because it makes it look a little, I don't know, hand-drawn, cheesy, and so I would really think about using the font that just matches the rest of the page and keep it cleaner. Whenever in doubt, choose less differences on the page in terms of your font choices. your font and color choices, the fewer, the more consistent things are, the more trustworthy it looks on the page. The next headline I saw didn't add much context because the top one was missing it. Trust us, it's way cheaper and less annoying this way. And then you finally get into below that in tiny, smaller text. You get into what you're doing. So right here it says, this Terra Spider Kit includes everything you need to build your own Terra Spider. Great. Why isn't this, get everything you need fast and cheap to build your own Terra Spider? Why isn't that the headline? Then you can have something like this as a sub-headline that explains why they should choose you or what they're doing, and then the video will make a lot more sense having the video on the page. I did like the copy because you're making it clear in the button that it's for sale. You didn't use the word submit. You're saying what they'll get. You'll email them when it's ready for sale. You've got some trust factors here in terms of we respect your privacy. Email will only be used for this list. The one thing I would add is maybe add some sort of incentive for people to sign up. So what else is a reason that somebody would sign up right now? Because you're not giving them a benefit now. So even if you're going to notify them, what tends to happen with these notification things, because I've signed up for hundreds and hundreds of pre-launch lists and these notifications, and the biggest mistake I see people make is it doing exactly this, which is email me when this baby is for sale. So I sign up. 6 months later, I get an email that says, hey, this thing is for sale, and I say, where in the world did this come from, and what is it? Because people don't have your context. They're not working on your product. They're not working on your information every single day like you are. They've forgotten about you, and they'll just click delete on your email. It'd be much better if you could, hey, we're going to send you a parts list. We're going to send you something. So you start building some trust, and then having a campaign that you've thought through, at least once a month, if there's months before your launch, to say, can you keep up a cadence of communication with them on the page throughout the campaign? Mike, do you have anything you want to add here?
I think that you could also add some pictures as well. If you take a look at this video, the video itself shows the Terra Spider and shows it walking around. I think that you could add, like a picture underneath or this particular call to action that shows the spider. It just kind of like on a table or something like that, because in this video, like, you can see it in the background, but it's really hard to see, and the text itself is difficult. So because of all the things that Josh had just talked about, it's hard to know when you get to this page whether or not that's what the page is for, what it is you're even sourcing the parts for. I do like his thought of taking this and putting it right up at the top, saying that it includes everything you need to build your own Terra Spider, and that when you say something like that, it immediately leads you to the thought of, well, what is a Terra Spider? And at that point, to me, a picture of it is going to be better than a video, and I would probably take this video and relegate it and test this first, but I would. It seems to me like taking replacing this video with a picture and then emailing them links to pictures of Terra Spiders that are working and in the field and doing cool things. That could be part of your email campaign, and you could say that flat out over here. Not only don't just email me when this is for sale, but get like an email tutorial on how to go about this if you were to not use us. We'll tell you exactly what it is that you need to do, but if you want to do it on, if you want to just buy it outright and don't want to go through all that work and all that hassle, we're going to have something that you can just buy off the shelf.
All right, thanks, Mike. We have time for. There were tons and tons of great pages submitted today. I'm glad that people showed up live, and we were able to take some of these pages live. We have time for one more quick page to look at before we wrap up. And I'm going to go with this one from Will. Start Ops, automation for your operations. Stay on top of your business as you build it. So looking at this page, let me set up so I can annotate it. I liked the headline. I thought it was really clear. I thought the subheadline was decent as well, but I think you could maybe expand on it. There's room for a little bit more information down here, and so I would consider expanding on what you do. There's a little bit odd. You've got this dark background image here. The white text is okay. Maybe you could make this text a little bit larger, and the same with the subheadline text, so it's easier to read. Looks are one thing, but it's really critical that things are readable on the page. And then the other thing that stuck out to me was the logo because of the background. Maybe you need a one that's brighter green and a white text instead of this darker green and a gray, which kind of blends into the background for your brand. And not to say that you want a huge noticeable brand on your page. You don't necessarily need one. If you're trying to minimize it, that's fine. But the way it looks today is a little bit off on the page, where you've got the white text, but then this darker gray text up here. And so think about that. And then you've got this call to action right here: start systemizing with a free trial. And where does that take me if I actually go to the page live? That takes me down here to the sign-up form. So let's talk about that, the sign-up form at the bottom, because that's your call to action. So I've just skipped everything on the page because your call to action kind of told me to. And it says sign up for beta access. When using StartOps, you effortlessly keep your company operations running so you can spend more time and money growing it. So I really, the first thing I noticed about this was, it is clear that you're saying sign up for beta access, but these two fields here feel kind of backwards and hard to read. Like, I'm not quite sure that this is a submission form or like a place to submit. So I would consider maybe a more standard white background to these things, where you're asking for your first name, and then this email address, you can see it gets cut off right here. So it cuts off at the ADDRE, and it doesn't even fit address, making this one longer on the page, and then having a sign up button here. And again, you could make the text within that button match here, like get into the beta or sign up for the beta, so it's clear you're not just saying sign up. You make it clear. The other thing, like we saw earlier, if it's a beta, are you charging for the beta? Is there a benefit to joining the beta? Do I get in for free? If I get something for free, make it clear there is a benefit and a reason to join now as opposed to waiting. And then if I filled out this this form, let's see. This is why I get thousands of launch emails when people launch. Yep, and I'm just taken to a MailChimp submission form thank you page. And this is where, again, you're running a beta. You could really benefit from a referral engine here, and that's something that we make pretty easy at Kickoff Labs to have a better thank you experience and still push people to your MailChimp list. Now to kind of take a look at the rest of the copy on the page that's here. Work on your business, not in your business, kind of the classic, it's kind of a classic tagline, I think, for operations. At this point, I'm still not sure if you're more if you're more IT or financial definition of the ops. I'm personally IT focused, so I imagine that you're talking about IT. But I think you could make it obvious in one of the headlines. Are you talking about IT or are you talking about financials? And it's not until the small text helps you manage the operational aspects of your business, such as bills, invoices, employee. Okay, so you're talking about financial operations. You're talking about bills and invoices. I feel like this, some aspect of this text, some aspect of this text should be in that subheadline. So taking this and using it here. So stay on top of your business, such as bills, invoices, employee travel times, and expense reports. in an automated way, or whatever your unique value is on top of this this tool, why I would choose you instead of a competitor. This bar here is, I think, a feature of the fact the bar stays at the top when it's taking the screenshot, so I'm sure that's not a problem on the page. And then you've got all of these things here that look like calls to action. I don't know if they're clickable. Let's see. Go back here. So they're not clickable, but they look like buttons, and they kind of make you want to click them. I would try not to train people to click on buttons. I would just have maybe just some text in a way that doesn't look like buttons, or and a headline that explains what this row of images are. So imagine that people don't read this text. You want a headline that says, here are some of the things we help you with. Here's how we can help your business, or here's how we can help you work on your business, not in your business. And then make it really clear that these are examples of things you do. Maybe more traditional checklist on the page. And then again, this seems a little bit too duplicated here, because you've got all of these things here, A&P, A&R, and then here it is actually in a way that I think looks nicer on the page. So you might even just consider killing this section, because I think it leads people to want to click, and going straight into this section, which I think looks a lot nicer on the page and says the same thing, the same things in a way that makes more sense to people on the page. Build your business, save time. One of the key ways to free up your time would be focus on pages, create efficiently without narration. I think it's a great idea, but you should make it clearer, sort of in headline form or checklist form, how you're saving people time, or what they're going to do with the software. Mike, do you have any comments before we wrap up?
I would agree with you that I think this whole section of this whole image with all these images with the things that look like you can click on them, those should go away. And then down here, one thing to just kind of keep in mind is that this piece right here, where you're talking about AP, A&R, and time off, expense reports, IT, and then this section down here, they're kind of redundant. And the one thing I would be very careful about is that if you go to this extent and you start talking about these types of things, you don't necessarily want people to think that you don't do some things that you can do. So I'd be just a little bit careful about how you portray that. I would say these are some examples of things that you can do, and I might want to put these things about the simple SOPs and freedom up at the top. Talk about some of the benefits. I think Josh is right. You can take some of these things and put them up near the top as clear benefits. And then because the page is, I guess you've got the sign up for beta access down here. So I was going to suggest starting with a free trial and adding that down here, but it already is there. So those are the things that kind of jumped out at me. But I think you can definitely speak more to the benefits of building up the business for what essentially amounts to human automation versus actually executing those processes. And I'm a big fan of building standard operating documents and having procedures in place that not only are you building those procedures, but you're empowering people to build their own procedures and make it easy to do so. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
Great, thanks, Mike. So we're gonna wrap up. We're a little bit over what we anticipate going on in these chats. So I appreciate everybody that stayed online. I appreciate it and thank everybody that had some discussion in the chat and came live to see their page get reviewed. And I want to especially thank Mike for coming and helping us look at pages. If you haven't already, you should go sign up for his waiting list for the Single Founder Handbook. I'll share that URL in the chat so you can see it. Again, my name is Josh Ledgard. I'm the co-founder of Kickoff Labs, the quick and easy way to grow your audience online. We're about building smarter tools for lead capture. And so what does that mean to us? We obviously have a platform for building landing pages. You can also build opt-in forms at any location. We add virality to pages, so we add that ability to have, as I mentioned a couple times, your thank you page be more dynamic and get, on average on our system, about 30 to 35% more leads. We have split testing of the landing pages that you can run and figure out if the advice we're giving you is actually helping. and because everything is something you could test. And you'll get a lot more information about the people that sign up. We go and we look up demographic data about the emails that sign up. So you can take that data. If you know that most of the people that sign up are men between the ages of 25 and 35, you could probably tailor your landing page and your campaigns a little bit better and in a smarter way. Whole bunch more features. I won't go through all of them. We help people that are marketers, startups, digital agencies, and e-commerce sites. Again, thanks everybody for coming. Next week's chat is going to be a great one. I'm really looking forward to it. If you want to join us next week, the sign-up page is here to get in. We're going to be talking about, if anybody's heard of the email client Acompli, now known as just simply Outlook. They were a Kickoff Labs customer. They launched on our platform. They set up their coming soon page on our platform. They shipped an amazing app, and they were acquired just before the holidays for $200 million by Microsoft. They've got an amazing story to tell. We've got the co-founder of Acompli, who now works at Microsoft, to tell the story. So hear the story told by Kevin Hendrickson. And we'll be interviewing him and taking your questions. So if you have questions, you can submit them here. And we'll be talking to Kevin next Thursday at this time. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks again, everybody.